Tonight on Q2, jumping into action.
A snowplow driver on his normal route becomes a hero rescuing people from a shooter.
I was blowing the snow off the road and come up on these people that were stuck and looked to me like they were stuck.
We'll hear his story and the shocking details surrounding Monday's shooting near Billings.
Plus, Billings airspace, the subject of a national security matter. The airport grounds to a halt yesterday. We'll have the shocking details into why.
And one man's hobby is creating a buzz.
People really enjoy them when you put a little work into them, and it's fun to make them different than just a box.
The MTN News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Andrea. Lutz. First tonight, a Good Samaritan jumping into action to help protect two people fleeing a terrible crime scene along a rural dirt road near the Crow Indian Reservation.
Now, we first told you about the shooting on Monday. According to sheriff's deputies, 32-year-old Carl Eldon drove 4 people to a remote area along Cormier Road where he got into an argument with a 14-year-old in the car.
He ultimately pulled out a gun and shot her along with another 18-year-old passenger. He was charged in court today with 2 counts of deliberate homicide, assault with a weapon, and 1 count of attempted rape. Well, 2 others in that car took off running, fearing that they would also be shot.
Our Charlie Klepp spoke with the man who came to their rescue in a story you will see only here on MTN.
That shooting happened on Cormier Road, 14 miles south of Billings. As you can see, there's not a whole lot going on out here. Houses are few and far between, but we're now learning more about how the suspected shooter ended up here. Sean French has been plowing rural county roads like this for 25 years, often in the middle of nowhere. But he's never witnessed anything like he did Monday evening.
They were 2 of them running towards me, and I knew something was wrong. I knew it wasn't right.
2 strangers pleaded for help, claiming their lives were in danger.
They were just saying that there was a guy shooting these girls and stuff like that. So I just picked them up and proceeded to call 911.
Sheriff's deputies arrived and encountered an 18-year-old woman who had escaped to a bystander's car. The victim had blood on her hands and stated she was shot by the defendant, and her 14-year-old niece was still in the Dodge Durango with him. Officers then found the 2 people hiding inside the cab of French's road grader. According to court documents, both were hysterical and kept repeating he was going to shoot us, and both believed the 14-year-old was going to die.
I stayed back. I didn't want to see in that. I seen the shooter and the other gal that was wounded.
Law enforcement went up to the Durango and arrested the suspect, 32-year-old Carl Alden. They found the 14-year-old girl in the back seat, shot in the head. She was awake and breathing, but incoherent. Deputies say Alden had also attempted to rape her.
It's just sad to see the way that he's become from everything that's gone on in his life in the last 6 years.
Irene Tenney used to work with Alden. She says she was shocked to hear what he's accused of.
Whatever he got into just turned him into whatever was going on, changed him to a monster pretty much.
In a later interview, one of the victims in French's grader detailed what happened to law enforcement, saying at some point Alden used methamphetamine. The defendant had a revolver of some kind, and while driving turned around and shot both victims in rapid succession. As for French, he's just happy he was in the right place at the right time.
I was just helping people out, and it's what we do. That's why we're out there. The way they were dressed, it's hard to know that they would have lived through it trying to find help.
In Billings, Charlie Klepp, MTN News.
All new tonight concerning allegations of a possible Chinese spy balloon hovering over Billings. The Pentagon has confirmed that balloon has been hovering over the northern U.S. for the past several days, even discussed shooting it out of the sky at one point as it was over Billings. We did speak with several people who recorded the balloon on camera. Haley Monaco has the latest.
It's a conspiracy theorist's dream. An unidentified flying object spotted over Billings Wednesday. Residents have offered up many hypotheses as to what it could be, but none would believe the truth. The Pentagon has been tracking a Chinese balloon flying over the northern U.S. New reports are saying the Pentagon has been tracking the surveillance device for several days now, and the U.S. military decided against shooting the balloon out of the air. But for Billings residents, the last day has been a guessing game.
I was really crawling out of my skin yesterday. Well, it's not a weather balloon, at least from the National Weather Service.
Ground stops are not common.
That's new Billings Airport Director Jeff Roach, who got the news that Billings flights were grounded Wednesday afternoon for about an hour. He couldn't give much reason as to why, but now we know. Many claimed the object was a weather balloon.
To have pictures, video, footage of some kind, and we can easily debunk any of those claims if they come up.
So we showed Brad Mickelson of the National Weather Service the video.
Okay, it's a little white dot in the sky.
In conclusion,
there's nothing to say that we would know what it is, but we know for sure that it's not from the National Weather Service.
well, not from this country's at least. National reports say that the balloon is well above commercial airspace and does not present a threat, although it might be tough to convince everyone of that. In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
In the coming days, you'll hear the blades of 6 Montana Army National Guard helicopters overhead. There's a new facility to house 14 full-time soldiers and 90 part-time soldiers flying Blackhawks and Chinooks southwest of the Billings Airport. The new operations will allow soldiers to quickly respond to calls in eastern Montana, northern Wyoming, and the western Dakotas. Getting the new facility in Billings began in 2021, with most National Guard helicopters remaining in Helena.
Today was highlighted by some very cold temperatures coming out of Canada all across the northern plains, and some of that cold was clipping northeastern Montana. Current temperatures, check out 11 below right now as we start looking at Regina, 7 below in Minot, sub-zero readings all across areas into the Great Lakes states around Minnesota. But notice that right now, well, Billings is sitting at 38. The contrast really for you in Miles City at 18, 16 in Jordan, and only single digits for Glasgow and for Glendive here this last check around. Then factor in just a little bit of a breeze, and we have wind chill values that are already feeling 15 to about 20 below, and they could be down 20 to 35 below by the time we get into the overnight hours. So we're going to see a shift in the weather pattern here as we get into the next couple of days. Still dealing with that cold in northeastern Montana through the overnight. Then tomorrow we'll start to see the temperatures move back up again, but that will come with periods of wind, mild readings into the weekend. Details coming up.
How to tax veterans' pensions? That's the question in front of lawmakers again this session. Reducing the tax could mean millions of dollars of lost revenue.
But Montana business policy experts say it's an opportunity to attract a highly skilled workforce to the state. MTN's Jackie Coffin tells us more.
Unemployment is low, but still a lot of businesses are looking to hire. Local business leaders say there's an entire population of skilled workers our state is missing out on. For Keegan Boggs, joining the military came from a sense of duty, country, and family tradition.
Joined right out of high school after the summer of me graduating in 2015, deploying to Afghanistan once and attending Ranger School back down in Georgia after that.
Moving to Montana, Boggs was motivated by something else.
I got out of the military. Me and my buddies always loved hunting, so we knew there's a lot of waterfowl out in Billings, so we kind of just picked up and moved out here.
But he faced difficulties taking his military training and applying it to the civilian workforce.
Like my job, I was infantry, so that doesn't really, toting guns and shooting around doesn't really transfer over to the civilian world besides security guard and cop, and I didn't really want to do any of those.
But he's found a good job at Metro RV and is taking classes at MSU Billings. Dan Brooks with the Billings Chamber of Commerce sees retired veterans as an untapped workforce.
Is critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making, and so they come with those skills.
But he sees a path to attracting retired veterans to Montana through a pair of bills now moving through the Montana legislature.
We're looking at this potential legislation here, exempting portions of military retirement income to help make Montana a little bit more attractive to those who are exiting military service. So
the bills would excuse up to 50% of military pensions from income tax. But the bill's been carried before, stalling in the past sessions without full support from Democrats and Republicans. The criticism is this: the loss of income to the state with as much as $9 million of lost revenue a year. But Brooks is optimistic that revenue could be found somewhere else.
We see that as a significant win for our business community here in Montana.
In Billings, Jackie Coffin, MTN News.
Still to come on the MTN 530 News on Q2, a retired Billings man has picked up a new hobby and it has the town buzzing. That story is next.
And in sports, a Broadview Lavina star is on his way to being the school's all-time leading scorer. The player he just passed, that's a name you'll recognize too. Stay with us.